Everything working? Hey, folks, if you too. Oh, there we are. Good. Glad you could be here. Hey, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. And again, if you're just joining us, first time ever, we have a lot of cameras going on. So we have to make sure all the social media platforms are connected and Instagram doesn't connect with everything else. We got to put a separate camera up. So anyway, that's why we have to have this beginning. Anyway, welcome. Glad you could be here. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. The way this works is I talk for 24 minutes. You, whatever platform you're on, do me a favor. Write down any health questions you might have. Anything. At 24-minute break, John, my producer behind the cameras, will go ahead and he will read me the questions. I'll answer them if I have an answer. Maybe I don't. It depends. Then we do another 24 minutes, and then we take more questions. So it's a great opportunity to join us, of course, and get your questions answered. If you would type in where you're calling from, where you're watching from, I guess. I'd appreciate that. I always like to see that. And if you're listening live, put in the hashtag symbol live. And if you're listening on a replay, put in hashtag replay. I appreciate that. It's 1:01 on July 29th, 2024. So if you're watching live, you know that. If it's not that time, then it's a replay. So it's pretty simple. But just type it in. I'd like to see where you're coming from. All right. You ready to go, John? All right. We're ready to go. Here we go. Hey, folks. Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am glad you're with me today, as always. I appreciate your time. I've been in practice a long time. I've been in practice about 40 years. And a lot of people come in with symptoms, and they don't make much of it. And this happens a lot when doing a consultation. So today we're going to talk about don't ignore these symptoms. So what happens is patients come in, and they'll say, oh, I got neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, whatever. And we have a form you fill out, and it says, oh, bowel issues. What's going on with your bowels? Oh, I have bloody stools every day. All right, that's something you shouldn't ignore. And they kind of blow it off. Oh, it's been happening for years. Well, just because it's been happening for years doesn't mean that's okay. And that's where the problem comes in. Many times people have these long-term issues, and it's no big deal. I call it a tain't nothing patient. That tain't nothing, doc. Don't worry about it. No, it is something. So I want to go over some things that if you have these symptoms, you need immediate attention. Might be with us, might be with a medical doctor, might be an emergency room. But don't ignore it because so often, again, 40 years of doing this, patients come in and they say, doc, I was diagnosed with something serious, cancer. When do you think it started? Well, about 5 years ago, fill in the blank. I had some bloody stools. I had a lump in my testicles. I had, swelling in my throat, and they didn't do anything about it. The earlier we get to a condition, the easier it is to fix, whether it's medical, chiropractic, nutritional, brain function, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. I've been doing a lot of work with that lately with patients that are getting dementia. They're losing their cognitive skills. And the nice part is the earlier we get it, the easier it is to deal with in most cases. So, talking about stools, I guess, why not? If you have black stool in your bathroom, that can be unsettling. But if it looks like black tar, that can be indicative of an upper gastrointestinal bleed, and that needs to be evaluated quickly. Now, black stools means you're bleeding in the upper part of your digestive system, right around your stomach, could be an ulcer, and the blood coagulates before it comes out of you. If it's a red stool, if it's bright red, it could be something very benign. It could just be hemorrhoids. It could be that you're using a tough toilet paper, but it could be something like colorectal cancer as well. So monitoring this is really important. Now, one of the things that I found years ago, a friend of mine taught me this. I was back in college, actually. I guess I was probably about 19, 20 years old. And he said that you shouldn't use toilet paper or any type of dryness on a mucous membrane. So, for example, you shouldn't put anything dry in your mouth. This whole thing with the cinnamon challenge, I know that's kind of come and gone already. But you shouldn't dry out your mucous membranes. And that goes for toilet paper as well. So what he talked about was something called a bidet. Now, I'd never heard that word before. I was 19 years old. I was a kid off the streets in New Jersey. I never heard the word bidet. That is the ideal scenario for your bathroom functions because it washes the body away. And I've seen a commercial for it already. If you get mud on your arm, you don't wipe it off. You'd wash it off, right? And so I love that concept. And a bidet is great. Now, you can get $30 bidets at Home Depot. Hook it up to your bathroom. It's cold water, but it works really well. For a couple of $100, Home Depot again, I'm sure other places have it too. If you have a plug near your toilet, you can plug it in and get warm water and air dry and all these other wonderful attachments. Now, in Japan, they're way ahead of us when it comes to toilets. They have smart toilets. And I really want you to consider that as an option. because many people irritate their bowels and their rectum by using things like dry toilet paper. And if they have moistened ones, many times the chemicals that they put on to moisten them, like wipes, can be toxic. And many times they're estrogen. They act like estrogen. They're called xenoestrogens. And it can really adversely affect your hormones, because when you put something on your mucous membranes, for women as well as men, if you put something that has an estrogen-like chemical on your mucous membrane, it can be absorbed right into the body. And if you remember a long time ago, there was something with tampons and toxic shock syndrome, because the tampons were bleached and they had chemicals in them. Those chemicals are less, but they're still there. So just be careful what you put on your mucous membranes. And that's why something like a bidet would be ideal. And once you start using them, you're not going to want to ever go back. Everyone, they're just amazing. So consider that as well. But if you have black stools, again, you want to get to a gastroenterologist. Or red stools, again, could be a hemorrhoid, could be just, dryness, but it could be something more serious as well. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about symptoms you don't want to ignore. Because so many of us, I'm the same way. I had a tooth issue a while ago. And I kept thinking, well, maybe it'll go away, maybe it'll go away, maybe it'll go away. So finally I went to the dentist and I said, no, it's an old filling that you've had. It's probably 30, 40 years old. It's just worn out. You need to have it replaced. And he did. He dug it out and put new in. And he said it wasn't mercury. I'm not a fan of mercury fillings, by the way. That's a whole nother lecture I can give you on mercury fillings. He says it was probably white gold, and he just scraped it out, and he put a new one in, and everything was fine. He said, but if you leave it there long enough, it can cause damage to the tooth, of course. You get infections. And your teeth are so important to your health because the same membrane that covers your gums also covers your heart. And so if you have a root canal that's rotten, if you have a rotten tooth, if you have an infection, a cavity, that infection can get into this membrane and actually get into the heart and cause heart issues. So most people just think about their teeth as, I just don't want my breath to stink and I don't want to have pain, but it's a lot more than that. And I did a lecture on dental probably, 10, 15 years ago. Maybe I'll do another one again soon. So, but that's not today's topic. So we're talking about don't ignore these symptoms. If you cough up blood, according to American Cancer Society, lung cancer doesn't usually show any symptoms at first until it starts to spread. With that being said, if you find yourself coughing up blood, it's best to get it checked right away. That way, if it's cancer, you get an early diagnosis. If it's not cancer, you can breathe a sigh of relief. So don't ignore these things. That's what we're talking about today, because it can be serious. Now, if you have a severe cough and you're coughing, you're sick and you're coughing very hard, you might rupture a little blood vessel, bring up some blood. Probably not that big a deal. Give it a few days. Once the cough goes away, you'll probably be fine. Honey, by the way, works very well as a cough syrup. You can do honey if you want to make your own cough syrup. Honey. You can put some garlic juice in there because garlic is antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. A little bit of cayenne pepper to increase circulation to the area. And that works very well because a lot of the cough suppressants that you have also have a lot of chemicals and toxins in them. Now, sometimes it's not enough. You may have to go to a more commercial type cough medicine. But these are just some things you can do. Try to save yourself some money, first of all, but also avoid the toxic chemicals. Because what I'm seeing, been doing this a long time, a lot of people coming in now with liver issues. And your liver is a filter. Anything you eat goes through your liver. Anything you drink goes through your liver. And if you have digestive issues, heartburn, acid reflux, celiac, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation on a regular basis, your stomach, the digestion begins in your mouth. Let's back up a little bit. When you chew something, it mixes with something called salivary amylase, and salivary amylase breaks down carbohydrates. Then the food passes into your stomach, and you have acid in there, pepsin and pepsinogen. Hydrochloric acid and pepsin create pepsinogen. Pepsinogen breaks down proteins. Protein looks like a ball of yarn under a microscope, and the pepsinogen unravels the ball of yarn and chops it up into amino acids and then passes it from your stomach into your small intestine where those amino acids and nutrients start to be absorbed. Your pancreas then kicks in and squirts out things to digest carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Your gallbladder kicks in and squirts out bile to break down fats. And so you have two places to digest the macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates is the mouth and the gallbladder and the pancreas. Proteins are the stomach and the pancreas. and fats are the gallbladder and the pancreas. So you always have a backup plan. This way we don't die if one of them doesn't work. Now, if you start eating bad foods and the body can't digest the foods totally, the foods get absorbed into the blood system, partially digested, and it ends up in the liver. The liver can't do the job of the stomach and the pancreas, and so it tries to do the best it can. And it will store waste food that it can't break down or waste products in fat, and that's where you get a fatty liver. And so that's why it's so important to take care of your liver. One of the radio stations I'm on, I have to laugh, they have a commercial for a liver supplement, and it's the voice is the liver, your liver, and apparently your liver's from New Jersey. Because it talks like this, hey, it's me, and I'm your liver, I'm your good friend, you don't take care of me. And I laugh because I think, I don't know if my liver has a New Jersey accent or not, I guess it might. But we really don't take care of our livers. We dump all this junk in our body and expect our body to deal with it, whether it's alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. And the liver can't do its job. And so it tries to break it down the best it can. So that's why it's important to detoxify your liver. And one of the great things to detoxify the liver is something called chlorella. Chlorella is it's a green algae, and it's high in protein, but it has the ability to help break down some of the waste product in your liver and pass it out. Milk thistle works real well. Glutathione is important to protect the liver. And so one of the supplements I take every single day is Dr. Joe's Super Greens. And Dr. Joe's Super Greens has chlorella and spirulina in it. And chlorella is very good for detoxifying the liver. I take it every day. Every time I get my blood work done, everyone's amazed. It's like at your age, you have your blood levels are like the level of somebody who's 30 years younger than you. What are you doing? Well, one of the things I do is I take care of my liver. And again, there's no signs and symptoms early on, but I don't want to ever get to that point. So Dr. Joe's Super Greens is amazing. I mix it with Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Now, Essential Source is the multivitamin, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and I mixed the two together. And one of the reasons I mixed it together is because I want to get it done all at once. But Super Greens, we have plain and mint. Plain doesn't have, it's not a good flavor or a bad flavor. It's just a very earthy flavor. And I like the Super Greens mint because it's sweeter and it has mint in it, and I like that flavor. But if you mix either one of them with Essential Source has stevia in it, has fruits and vegetables. Very, very tasty when you do the two together. So people say, I tried the Super Greens, it was horrible. Well, mix it with Essential Source or do the mint Super Greens, you're going to be much better off. But that's the minimum supplements people should take every day. And this, what we're trying to do here is protect you from having issues later on, which is what our topic is today. Don't ignore these symptoms. I want to fix things before they break, not after. Severe back pain. You don't want to ignore back pain. Now, I'm board certified in chiropractic. I'm board certified in non-surgical orthopedics. I'm board certified in pain management. I'm double board certified in nutrition, certified in traumatic brain injury. I got like 23 other certifications. Patients come to me every single day, me and my team of doctors, with back pain. The most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain is chiropractic care. Now, severe back pain is usually due to, bone out of place or pinching a nerve or swelling in the back. But if you have severe, sharp, tearing pain in your back, it could be due to something called an aortic dissection. What's that? Your aorta is a big blood vessel. It runs down the middle of your body and it brings blood to your lower extremities. And if it starts to tear, usually because plaque builds up and pressure builds up in the aorta and it gets bigger and bigger, and if it starts to tear, it's immediate surgery. It's not a chiropractic case. It's not, I'm going to take this herb and rub some lotion on it. 98% of the time that works. But if you start getting severe stabbings, like a tearing pain in your back, you want to get to the emergency room right away. If you lose bowel or bladder control, you want to get to the emergency room right away. Because I have people call me every day, Doc, I got severe back pain. It's going into my back, going into my hips. First question I ask, can you still control your bowels and your bladder? If the answer is yes, come see us. Let's see what we can do. If the answer is no, or they lost control of their leg, then it's an emergency room case. The disc may have ruptured and you may need emergency surgery. Now, I'm not a fan of surgery. I'm going to be honest with you. But I'm not against it either. If you need it, get it. If you don't need it, what else can we do? So emergency cases, loss of bowel and bladder control, loss of muscle control in your legs, immediately get to the emergency room. Less than that, come see us. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatica, it's probably, not always, probably a chiropractic case. So if you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We can book you. We have appointments open almost every day in most of our offices. If not, we can get you to another office. And then if you live far away, come to a different office and then continue your care closer to you. But we'll get you in as soon as possible. Normally, the first visit for an evaluation is $940. We've reduced that for you guys, only my listeners, to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on a follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Now, I don't know anybody who's doing that at any price. Certainly not at $299. And the reason we do it is we want to determine what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Maybe it is chiropractic care. Maybe it's not. Let's find out. So go to drjoe.com, book your appointments for you, your friends, your family, and your children. If children have pain, something's wrong. Don't ignore it, because it can become a lot worse as time goes on. And I've seen this happen, myself included. I had back pain when I was a kid. I played football, I played hockey, I was hit by a car. And finally, at 18 years old, I had an x-ray. Doctor said, you have a fracture in your low back. Good thing you didn't play contact sports. That's all I did was play contact sports. I was in pain every single day, every minute of every day as a teenager. And so had I known this, I wouldn't have played contact sports. And my life would have been probably a lot less painful. So if you have pain, come in and see us. We'd love to do an evaluation. Let's try to get to the cause of the problem. drjoe.com. You can book it right online. You can call us. We accept most insurances. It depends what your insurance covers. Not really on our end. It's on your insurance's end. If you're ever in a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. And don't fall for the scammers. I promise you, as soon as you're in a car accident, sometimes within hours, you're going to start getting phone calls. Go see this doctor. Go see this lawyer. That's a scam. Don't fall for it. It's a felony on their part, and you're not going to get the care you need. You're not going to get the legal representation you need. That's my experiences. Go to quality doctors. We have lawyers. We have orthopedists, neurologists, neurosurgeons I can refer you to. Let's get to the cause of the problem. drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Happy to be your doctor. In fact, I want to be your doctor. I want to get you well. I want to keep you well. So just tuning in, we're talking about signs and symptoms you should never ignore. If you have a very dark yellow urine, it's probably a sign you're not drinking enough water, and just by simply guzzling some water, that should solve the problem. But if it continues, if the urine has a horrible odor to it, again, if you eat something like garlic, your urine might have odor to it. If you eat papaya, sometimes you'll have a little odor to it. That's not a horrible odor. If it comes out brown, the urine, if you pee in a jar and look at it, it's got a bunch of stuff floating around in it, you probably want to get yourself to a urologist. Now, you can try fixing it by drinking a bunch of water and see how you do in a couple of hours. But if it continues or persists, you want to get that checked right away. Could be a kidney infection, could be something more serious. So again, don't get nervous. Drink some water. See if the urine clears up. If it doesn't, then you got an issue. And think about what you ate. I get this call probably about 4 or 5 times a year. Dr. Joe, I have blood in my stool. I'm very concerned. What do I do? And I say, did you eat red beets? And almost every time the person says, oh my gosh, I did. Okay. If you ate red beets, let's wait till that gets through your system. Let's wait till the next time you go to the bathroom and let's see what happens. I got a call from a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and that's what made me think about it. He says, I'm scared. What do I do? And I said, what'd you have? He said, I went to this place and I had a salad. Would I have red beets in the salad? Yes. Okay. Relax. Everything was fine. So don't jump to conclusions. None of these are definitive, but these are signs and symptoms you want to look out for, and that's what we're talking about today. If you pee a lot, that could be a sign. Now, if you drink a lot of water, you're going to pee a lot. Absolutely. We know that. But if you pee a lot, it could be a sign of diabetes. When your kidneys can't handle the excess glucose in the blood, it gets rid of it through the urine. Now, a test that the doctors used to do in the old days, before we got so sophisticated, is they would take the patient's urine and dip their finger in it and taste it. And if it tasted like sugar, they said, you got the sugar. I know that's a phrase I learned when I came to the South. You got the sugar. What do you mean I got the sugar? Diabetes. So that's something you got to be careful with. Because of the process, this will make you feel dehydrated, which means you'll drink more water, which makes you go to the bathroom more. So if you're thirsty a lot, that can be an issue. If you're healthy, you're probably not going to get thirsty very often because thirst is kind of like the last thing to show up. But if you're peeing out a lot because you have diabetes, that's a concern. Do you have diabetes in your family? Do you have a bad diet? I had somebody call one of my shows the other day, and she said, I can't get my blood sugar down. I eat oatmeal every morning, then I eat fruit, then I have a salad. Okay, stop eating the oatmeal. Oatmeal can spike your blood sugar. Now, if you're going to eat oats, I want you to do either groats, which is the whole oat, or steel-cut oats. Old-fashioned oats, instant oats, that'll spike your blood sugar like crazy. So as a diabetic, just be careful. I remember I heard one doctor say, if you ever want to get diabetes, go to the Diabetes Foundation website and follow their advice. And I thought, interesting. So I did. And I said, sure enough, this is some of the worst stuff diabetics can eat. Not the worst stuff, but some of the worst stuff. So you want to stabilize your blood sugar with something called fiber. Fiber can only be found in fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, in plants. It can't be found in meat or dairy products. Processed grains like wheat, once the bran is taken out, there's very little fiber left, so it's just like eating plain sugar. So you want to eat, my rules are this. If you're going to eat animal products, meat, butter, cheese, yogurt, eggs, ice cream, organic only, or don't eat it. Now, I choose not to eat it. I haven't had animal products in 38 years. I understand you might think that's a little extreme. I consider health extreme. But if that's too much for you, at least do organic only. And make sure you eat something raw at every meal. And I say raw: broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, peaches, pears, bananas, pineapples. Raw fruits and vegetables is where you're going to get your fiber. And fiber slowly pushes the sugar through the colon, blocks up receptors so you don't absorb as much sugar, and that really helps stabilize the body. So fiber is something you want to do absolutely. Now, if you go to the bathroom a lot at night, that can be you drank a lot. But for us men of a certain age, it could be a prostate problem. And if you have weak or slow urinary stream, that could be a sign of benign prostatic hypertrophy. It's usually not cancerous, but it's something you could bring up with your doctor. There are medications they can give you to keep the flow going. The downside is you might get dizzy with it. I have a friend of mine who's several years older than me. He says, I started taking it. I peed better, but I couldn't stand up and get out of bed. I was so dizzy to pee. So he stopped taking it. If you have men's issue, if you have swollen prostate, go to my website, drjoe.com, and just type in men's health. I did a real good show on men's health. We cover prostate health in there too. All men, as far as I know, are going to have prostate problems as they get older. It's part of life, but it doesn't mean you have to give in. It's like ED. This is a family show, so I won't, you know what ED is if you're an adult. 40% of men over 40 have it. 70% of men over 70 have it. And we have a protocol that we use. It's just phenomenal. It's acoustic wave therapy. It breaks up scar tissue in the area. It increases blood supply. It helps the body grow new blood vessels. We give you home therapy to exercise the muscles. Yes, that's a thing. Nitric oxide, Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support. This stuff is great for opening up blood vessels. Many times when you have ED, it's lack of nitric oxide. So, and we have a whole protocol. We do a dietary workup on the patients. And in most cases, we get very good results. Now, if it's severe diabetes, if there's nerve damage, testosterone issues, maybe the testicles aren't producing testosterone, you're probably not going to see results in pretty much any treatment. Or you may get temporary results, but not much. But we try to fix the cause, not just treat the symptoms. So, gentlemen, if you have ED, go to my website, drjoe.com, or if you know somebody, and type the letters ED in the search bar. There's going to be a little quiz that pops up. Fill out the quiz. It's like 6 questions. It will come to my personal email. Nobody else is going to see it but me. I will go over the questionnaire that you filled out. I will call you personally, and we'll discuss it to see if you're a candidate for this treatment. It's a fraction of what everybody else charges. No pills, no drugs, no surgery. And we try to get to the cause, not just treat the symptoms. So that's the difference. So if you want to do that, gentlemen, I'm happy to talk to you about it. I know it's a private issue. That's why you talk to me personally. If it's something I think we can help, we'll set you up a time with either me and or our medical doctor, and let's set you up. And again, it's a fraction of the cost. And the nice part is if it doesn't work, well, it didn't work. No drugs, no surgery, no needles, no injections. So it's kind of neat. Oh my gosh. I just realized I looked at the clock. I'm almost out of time for this segment. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can send me questions there, book appointments, search the website. We have over 4,000 hours of content there. And the supplements we talked about, Super Green, Essential Source, nitric oxide, vitamin D, B complex, digestive enzymes, men's hormone support, omega-3 fatty acids, all those are on the website. We just started this. Now, if it's $49.99 or more, the shipping is free in continental United States. Or come by our office, save all the shipping. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. So again, the website, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. Got carried away there for a second. Wasn't watching the clock. You have any questions for me, John? What you got?
What is the ideal calorie intake for athletes training and competing in the Olympics?
Depends what sport. Okay. Gymnastics is one thing. Rugby is another. Okay. So I of course, always go with a plant-based diet. For us, normal average people, probably about 1,500 calories a day. Michael Phelps, when he was training, was doing like 10,000 calories a day. So it really depends on what your game is. Archery, probably not 10,000 calories a day. Okay? Michael Phelps, who swam every day of his life, he said, even when he was sick and on Christmas and everything, he was doing 10,000 calories at his peak. And again, it's a quality of calories. I can do 10,000 calories worth of ice cream. Well, Michael Phelps wasn't doing that. Okay? He would be doing fruits and vegetables, healthy fats like coconut oils, nuts, seeds. So there really isn't an answer for that. It would depend on the sport. But most of your calories should come from fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. What else?
Do you know of any safe and effective ways to remove tonsil stones, and can they be prevented?
Tonsil stones, you have a ditch or a little pit there, and it's food that gets caught in there, and it's infected. So what you want to do is build up your immune system. So go to my website, drjoe.com, type the word immunity in the search bar, and you want to stay away from things that are causing the tonsils to inflame. That makes that pit bigger for things to get caught in there. You can take them out, you can try to get out there and squeeze them out yourself, of course, or a doctor can take them out, but it really has to do with immunity. So what you want to do is stay away from the two foods you always want to avoid, everybody should avoid anyway, are going to be wheat and dairy products. I had a patient come in the other day, but listen to the show on immunity and follow what I say. Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, vitamin D3 with K2, glutathione. Those are the things that really build the immune system. We have Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster and Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic as well. So that's something I think you should take as well if you have immune issues. So Seasonal Tonic and Wellness Booster. Seasonal Tonic is if you have an active infection, if you have the stones. Wellness Booster builds the immune system. So Super Green, Essential Source, Wellness Booster, Seasonal Tonic, Vitamin D. That would be my starter kit for that. Patient came in. He's from Israel. He says, listen, I've been to dozens of chiropractors. Nobody can help me. I'm very sick. Your name came up several times from other doctors, medical doctors, chiropractors. Go see Dr. Joe. Go see Dr. Joe. So he was a little standoffish at first, like, I've been to everybody else. What's going to make you different? He was very upfront about it. And I talk about he has an autoimmune condition, and I said, you got to give up wheat and dairy. He says, I'm Jewish. I'm not giving up my bagels and cream cheese. I'm not going to do it. I said, okay, at least do organic. Thought about it. He goes, okay, I could do that. And I said, when you go to Jerusalem, when you go to Europe or, Africa, I said, they don't use a lot of genetically modified foods, glyphosate. They don't feed the cows bad foods. So you're probably not going to have the same reaction in other countries. And he thought for a second, and he rubbed his chin. And he says, the last time I was in Israel, I was there for 5 days. I came home. My back didn't hurt. And I traveled, and I ate bad. I said, it's the different type of food. United States, we've done a lot of things to adulterate our food supply. And he looks at me. He says, you seem to know your stuff. Because, again, he's not a radio show fan or, podcast fan or anything. He says, you seem to know your stuff. And I quoted the Bible. I said, Genesis 1:29, I give to you the seeds and the herbs and stuff. And then we talked about Leviticus. And he said, I've never met a doctor like you before. And I said, well, I've been studying for 40 years. I'm getting pretty good at it. He says, I'm going to do what you say. So on the second visit, he said, I'm going to do what you say. So my challenge to you is this. Do what I say. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So what? You ate well for a couple of weeks. You took some supplements, got some chiropractic care. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. I lied to you. But I'm not lying to you. So try my advice. I think you'll be happy with it. Build up the immune system, and I gave you the protocol for this tonsil stones. What else you got?
The whole right side of my liver was recently removed because of cancer. I also don't have a gallbladder. I am nauseated and I have awful heartburn. I'm also on a feeding tube. Do you have any suggestions for me?
Absolutely. The liver can grow back. That's the nice part about the liver. In most cases, the liver grows back. We can remove 70% of the liver and it can grow back. So the good news is, of all the organs in the body, that's the easiest one to heal. Without a gallbladder, you need to send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and I will tell you to order something called Cholacol, and I'll send you the link to it. Cholacol is ox bile. Whenever you eat anything fatty, you should take one of these pills for the rest of your life. Any of you who have your gallbladder removed, and this, I don't know why this isn't standard operating procedure. It's really cheap for a bottle. I think it's like $18 and it'll last you a long time. You want to take Cholacol or a ox bile product. I like Cholacol specifically. And I'm creating one, by the way. That's in my works of creating one that it'll have my Dr. Joe stamp of approval on it. This is from a different company. And that should help tremendously. As far as the heartburn, the stomach can push up into the diaphragm. You want to come see us. We can adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm in most cases. And I'll probably be your new best friend. Because you fix somebody who has heartburn, and it's anybody, not just people like you. Anybody who has acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, we can adjust the stomach away from the diaphragm. And in many cases, it's just a miracle cure. So drjoe.com to make the appointment. If you send me an email, I'll send you a link to the Cholacol. And then I'll tell you what to eat, what not to eat as well when you send me the email. What else?
How do you evaluate nerves in the back that affect the bladder and bowels?
It's usually nerves in the low back that control the colon, sex organs, and bladder. We can do a orthopedic test to see if there's motion, proper motion. Is there pain? We can take x-rays. And we use a technique called applied kinesiology, also known as muscle testing. And we can do muscle testing. And the way it works is your body is wired like a Christmas tree. All the wires are connected. And if something is short-circuited in the Christmas tree, the whole Christmas tree doesn't work. Well, lucky for us, you're wired just like that. So if you have a malfunction, whether it's the knee, the hip, the shoulder, the back, the spleen, we can push against one of your muscles, touch the area, and push again. And if we hit an area that has a short circuit in it, the muscles go weak. So we do a thorough evaluation. We do muscle testing, x-rays, exam. We kind of do all of it, and then we determine what's going to be the best treatment for you. And we can actually adjust the bladder, too. There's outside the body. It's nothing weird. We can adjust the bladder as well. So, what else you got?
I enjoy eating fruits. I know that they have both fiber and sugar. When does the sugar intake become a concern?
You'd have to eat a lot of fruit to have a sugar intake concern because the fiber offsets and the other nutrients offset the sugar in the fruit. Fruit juice, not a good idea. Fruit, fine. You'd have to eat an awful lot. If you start getting dizzy, start crashing afterwards, again, start urinating a lot because of too much excess sugar, the body will be really thirsty, then it might be an issue. But it would have to be excessive amounts of fruit. So I'm okay with that. Try to do organic if you can.
Is berberine phytosome good to have daily, and what daily vitamin should I take?
Well, daily vitamins should, of course, be Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I mean, that's your minimum supplement you should be taking every day. Berberine is fine. We're coming out with the Dr. Joe's berberine. As a matter of fact, we're just trying to decide on other ingredients in it. Berberine helps stabilize blood sugar. It's kind of like nature's Ozempic. But these are the minimum supplements everybody should be taking every day. And if you're not taking them, I don't know why. Because they're relatively inexpensive. Mix them together. They taste great mixed together. You could use coconut milk, almond milk, water. And I don't know why you wouldn't be taking that every day. But that's the minimum. What else?
I've had tennis elbow for a little while. Do you have any recommendations besides stretching and physical therapy?
Yes, acoustic wave therapy and laser. And we treat tennis elbow all day, every day here in our offices. So if you make an appointment, we'll check to see if the elbow is out of place first. We have to adjust it. We'll check the nerve supply to the elbow to make sure it's not a pinched nerve in the neck going to the elbow. And then acoustic wave and or laser does wonders for healing that and getting it back to normal again. I've worked with 8 Wimbledon champions, so I'm very familiar with tennis injury. So, yeah. Tim Gullickson, Tom Gullickson, Stan Smith, a bunch of them. So, got a picture of Stan Smith in my office. When you come in, I'll show you. So,
that is all for now.
You guys are awesome. All right, part 2. Those are long questions. I like that. You know I love that stuff. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with me, thanks. I appreciate that. We're talking today about signs and symptoms you should never ignore. And these are things that come in our offices all the time. And many times people blow it off. It ain't nothing. It's nothing to worry about. I'm good. I've had it for years. No big deal. Many of these are a big deal. And many times I'll tell the patient, you need to get to your primary care. We have the primary care we work with. If you're looking for a new primary, by the way, Dr. Sanders is a great one. And he works with us. Maybe it's an orthopedist, maybe it's a neurologist, maybe a gynecologist, maybe a gastroenterologist, a urologist. We have doctors that we work with that we know, that we trust. There's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in healthcare, and I don't want you to fall victim. And so we try to work with you on that and try to get you to the doctors that you need. But in most cases, we're the ones that can handle it. And if we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobby, Atlanta area. If we're not convenient or you can't get to us, let us know. We'll try to find you a chiropractor or a doctor in your area as well. So other things you don't want to avoid. If you get winded easily. Now, as you get older, it's a lot tougher to do things. I can't run upstairs like I used to. But if you feel super out of breath just by doing simple things like walking to the kitchen, the body's trying to tell you something's wrong. Now, if you find you get winded and you're walking up the stairs, you're just doing daily activities, it can be a sign of a heart or a developing respiratory issue. Most likely means you just need to do more exercise. Now, I personally don't like exercising. I'll be honest with you. I don't like going to the gym. I've got a traumatic brain injury, so there are certain exercises I can't do. It flares up my neck. I have a fracture in my low back. So there's only a certain handful of exercises I can do. Swimming is one of them. I enjoy swimming. Now, if you're going to be in a pool that's chlorinated, you want to get out of the pool and shower right away because chlorine is a highly toxic poison. We put it in the pool to kill what? Bacteria. What is your body made of? More bacteria than human cells. So we're killing off good bacteria in our body, in our colon, if we're in a pool a lot. The chlorine can be toxic. I know I had a friend of mine who's a jeweler, and he said one of the things he'd see a lot is women would come in, they'd lose a stone. And he'd say, okay, well, what do? I don't do anything. And he'll look at it, and if the gold had started to turn green, he'll say, do you swim a lot? She goes, oh, I go swimming every day. The chlorine can actually eat through gold rings. So if it can eat through metal, it can eat through your body. It's not good. So if you have the choice, swim in a saltwater pool. That's a much better choice, or the ocean, of course. Lakes you got to be careful with, too, because a lot of times people come out of there with infections because there's bacteria and viruses growing in there, too. But find an exercise that works for you. It could be something as simple as walking. Get out. We used to think 10,000 steps a day was ideal. It turns out 5,000 is ideal. So I just cut your exercise program in half. So get out, walk, housework, yard work, gardening, wash windows, vacuum, clean the counters. As long as your body's in motion, that's good. Now, if you're so winded that you just get out of a chair and you're winded, you want to get yourself an evaluation to see if there's anything going on in your lungs, or you might have something called congestive heart failure. Heart failure means the heart's not working as well as it should. If you have swollen ankles, could be a sign of kidney issues or congestive heart failure. So you don't want to ignore those things because many times you just need to get in there and fix it. I've been lazy. I had a bad diet. Well, let's get active and eat a good diet. And the body can heal itself in many cases. You don't understand how powerful your body is and the capabilities it has to heal when given the right opportunity. That's why with neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, chiropractic care, it's usually a bone out of place. Put the bone back in place. I hate to make it that simple, but many times that's all it is. Now, it's not going to happen in one visit. You may take several visits to restructure the body, but it's so often bones out of place. And this is why when people get under chiropractic care, quality chiropractic care, and they see the results, you have them as a patient for life. I have patients that have been coming to see me for, my longest patient, probably 39 years. Now, she doesn't come in every day. She comes in maybe once every month or two. Her husband, same thing. They still come in. They're doing great. And I remember with her specifically, she was seeing me for maybe 30 years or so. And she said, the doctor's saying I might need a hip replacement. Now, this is before we had acoustic wave and PRP, the treatments we have now. And I said, wow, bummer. She goes, no, it's not a bummer. She goes, I was told I need a hip replacement 30 years ago. And I came to see you. She goes, you don't remember that. I know you don't. She says, but you kept this hip moving for 30 years. Thank you. And now we have treatments beyond what we were doing even back then that probably would keep the hip going forever. Had a patient just the other day come in. He had shoulder problems. We did acoustic wave therapy on him, several treatments. And he sends me an email. He says, I was told by 4 different doctors I needed a total shoulder replacement. Nothing could be done with it. Physical therapy didn't work. I had to have it. He says, I came to you as a last-ditch effort. He was seeing Dr. Cat Walter, one of our other doctors. He says, I have total range of motion, absolutely no pain. He says, you saved my shoulder. Thank you. So if somebody has told you you need a hip replacement, knee replacement, wrist, come see us. Let's see what we can do to try to get to the cause. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, go have surgery. But why wouldn't you try to do everything first before a major surgery like that? Try everything. If it doesn't work, we could always go to the extreme levels of getting surgery. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. Acoustic wave, laser, cold laser is great. It stimulates mitochondria. It helps heal. We have, I don't know, probably 1,000 different settings on the laser for different things, whether it's an elbow, whether it's a liver issue, whether it's a brain issue. There are things you can do with the cold laser to stimulate mitochondrial function in the brain and make the brain work more efficiently. So cold laser is just amazing. Acoustic wave is amazing. Chiropractic is amazing. Nutrition is amazing. Any one of them is amazing. When you put them all together like we do in our office, we get people from all over the world come to see us. And because we get results. Can I guarantee results for you? Absolutely not. Don't send me an email and say, can you promise me 100% that you can fix my back pain? No, I can't. But it's certainly worth a shot. And it's the least expensive treatment of all anyway. So why not do it? So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, drjoe.com will make you an appointment. Other things you don't want to ignore. That's what we're talking about today. Signs and symptoms you don't want to ignore. Gentlemen, if you have a lump on or near your testicles, get to your doctor immediately. Even if it's a small lump, it could be a sign of issues. Get yourself to a medical doctor immediately. Again, if you don't have a primary care doctor, I'll send you to Dr. Sanders, the guy who works with us. Yes, I have a relationship with him. He works with us. So full disclosure. But he's great. He's my primary care doctor. If you have swelling in your groin, a lump could be, like I said, any type of swelling around the groin for men and women. Sometimes it's just a lymph node because a lot of lymph nodes down there. Lymph nodes are filters. They filter out dead viruses, germs, bacteria. And if you have an infection like a cold or a flu, you might get a swollen lymph node. Lymph nodes, if they're soft and painful, usually nothing to worry about. If they're hard, like a dried pea or a lentil, and they don't have pain, I want you to get a medical evaluation immediately. Don't jerk around with that. My father used to say, don't jerk around with that. Other signs and symptoms you don't want to ignore. Changes in your handwriting. Now, I have the worst handwriting of any human being on earth. When I was in grammar school, I got straight E's, they were called back then, excellence, on everything except 2 classes. Penmanship and conduct. Now, the conduct, I learned later on, you would have called ADD. We have a title for it now. Back then, you were a class clown or a wise guy. But what I found as I went through my career is that ADD, that inability to focus, that energy, was a sign of a digestive problem. Because your digestive system, your stomach has one main job, and that job is to take proteins. And whether that protein comes from a steak or a carrot, proteins look like a ball of yarn. And I've discussed this many times. The digestive enzymes in your stomach unravel the ball of yarn and chop it up into something called amino acids. Now, the amino acid named tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps you focus. Serotonin makes you happy. So if there's a lack of serotonin, you might have trouble focusing, paying attention. Now, again, I had straight A's or straight E's, they were called back then. But I was still wired. I was all over the place. And so I realized later on I wasn't digesting my food properly. And once I got my stomach adjusted, my stomach was pushed up against my diaphragm. I used to burp a lot. It was really funny. I burped. I had my doctors pull my stomach away from my diaphragm. Very simple adjustment, very painless. And my digestive system got better. And all that crazy energy became laser focused. And by the time I was 30, I had 5 board certifications. So all that crazy energy, once it was focused, became really good. And that's why when I see kids with ADD, ADHD, they're usually super intelligent. They just can't focus it. And once we fix their digestive system, in most cases, they're able to focus. So adjusting the stomach is the number 2 reason we see patients. Pain is number 1, stomach issues are number 2. And we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, the proteins are broken down to amino acids. Amino acids become neurotransmitters in the brain. Tryptophan becomes serotonin. Tyrosine becomes dopamine. Dopamine gives you pleasure. Dopamine converts into norepinephrine, which gives you energy. Glutamine becomes GABA, which suppresses pain. So fixing the gut is so important, not just because you have acid reflux and heartburn or bloating or gas or diarrhea, constipation. It's because we actually get to the cause of the problem And it's amazing what happens. So I say that, back to handwriting. That was a long way to get here. I had horrible handwriting as a kid. I still have horrible handwriting. I wouldn't be surprised it was from my traumatic brain injury, because I look at my handwriting before I got hit by my car and had my traumatic brain injury, and it was legible. So I'm assuming I damaged a part of my brain that controls handwriting. Makes sense. So, but one of the earliest and most detectable symptoms of Parkinson's is experiencing handwriting abnormalities. Now, I understand why I had mine, but can you write? And if you notice, it starts going downhill really fast. Micrographia, that's abnormally small letter size, is an issue. That could be a sign of Parkinson's coming on board. Now, the good news with Parkinson's, they give you something called GABA. And GABA helps calm down the brain, and that helps with Parkinson's. Now, fava beans and velvet beans, I didn't know what velvet beans was, I had to look it up, are very high in GABA. And so they found that eating fava beans and velvet beans were as effective in many cases taking medication for Parkinson's patients. Now, it's part of a protocol. You want to stay away from stimulants like coffees and teas, monosodium glutamate, high-salt diets, because that can affect the brain as well. But fava beans and velvet beans, even more so, contain the nutrients to help the brain calm down and get control back of your body. About 90% of your brain suppresses the other 10%. And when that balance goes off, you can't suppress the motion, and that's where you start to see the shaking with the Parkinson's. So we just got to get those levels back up again. Pretty cool, huh? Who would have known that? I reported on it a long time ago. So, if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. What we're talking about today, signs and symptoms you should never ignore. And this is really important for you to understand this, because you may have these symptoms and not realize it. One that is very common and many people ignore, they just say, oh, it's annoying, is snoring. Snoring doesn't just keep you and your partner awake at night. According to Harvard Medical School, snoring can be a sign of obstructive sleep apnea, where the upper airway is completely or partially blocked off. So if you have sleep apnea and it's left untreated, it can lead to serious medical problems, including pulmonary hypertension, high blood pressure. If it gets to that point, it can put enough strain on your heart to be an issue. Now, what do you think causes snoring? Well, my hard palate, my soft palate, they come together. It blocks off my throat. One of the most common causes that I find is the stomach pushes up into the diaphragm. These patients oftentimes burp a lot, have heartburn, acid reflux. They might take medication for heartburn. If you take a medication for heartburn, you're slowing down your acid production in your stomach, and that can also prevent you from properly absorbing calcium, B12, iron, and magnesium, and you can go into malnutrition. If you read the directions on antacid or acid reflux medications, most of them say only take for a few weeks and then stop. How many people that take these medications ever took them for a few weeks and stopped? Almost no one. I've never met anyone who ever did. And once we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, many times that gets to the cause of the problem. But more important than the acid reflux, producing neurotransmitters in the brain to make the brain work more efficiently. So when I'm standing up or sitting up like I am right now, gravity is pulling my stomach down. And I may have a little bit of burping or gas, but when I lay down, gravity is taken out of the equation. So I lay on my back, my stomach can push up against my diaphragm, and I might have heartburn or acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating. And so what we need to do is get that stomach pulled away from the diaphragm. And many times when you fix the stomach, the snoring goes away. I've had patients send me flowers, send me fruit baskets, thanking me for fixing their spouse. First time I can sleep in 10 years, 20 years. My spouse and I can now stay in the same bed together. Saves marriages, saves relationships, because the snoring is a sign. It's telling you something's wrong. It could be a pinched nerve in the neck going into the throat. I've had that happen. You adjust the neck and the snoring gets better. Many times you have to lose weight. We have a wonderful weight loss program. It's called the 21-Day Detox, and we get our patients on a 21-day detox to help jumpstart the weight loss program. Because what happens with weight gain is there's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus controls hunger. And the hypothalamus kind of goes out of whack. This is a very simple explanation. I don't want to give you the whole lecture here. And so now you can't tell when you're full. And that's how these drugs, like these semaglutide drugs that people are taking now, it goes into hypothalamus and tricks the hypothalamus into thinking that you're full. And so people go 2-3 days without eating. I have somebody I work with, and she says, I take it. I can't remember what food is for. I've lost the concept of food. Now, the problem with it, it's a forever drug in many cases. It means you'd have to take it forever because as soon as you stop, if you didn't fix the hypothalamus, you get hungry again, you eat like a pig, you put the weight back on. I don't like forever drugs. Sometimes they're necessary, but I don't like them. So what we want to do is we put you on a 21-day protocol. We get you on supplements and shakes, and we hopefully get the hypothalamus to reset itself. And when that happens, people can come off it and then say, okay, I can eat normally again. And so the 21-day detox is really important if you're trying to lose weight. And again, going back to snoring. So if you want to lose weight, you just go to my website, drjoe.com, type in 21-day. You have to make the commitment for 21 days. You don't cheat. You don't jerk around, as my father used to say. You do it right the first time. But snoring is a sign. It's telling you something's wrong. In fact, everything we've talked about today are signs and symptoms telling us that there's something wrong, and you don't want to ignore it. So if you snore, it's an issue. Now, if you gasp for air every now and then, something like that, no big deal. But if you're a regular snorer, is that a word, snorer? That's not something you want to ignore. And if you know somebody who's a snorer, get them in to see us. Let's check the stomach. Let's do a nutrition evaluation on them. Let's see what we can do to get that resolved. Because it's not just annoying, it's a real health issue. And you're not getting enough oxygen either, so you can't get into deep sleep. Deep sleep helps the body reset itself and heal, so it's a pretty big issue. If you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. What we're talking today about are signs and symptoms you never want to ignore. And I want to reiterate back pain again, because that's kind of my wheelhouse right there, nutrition and back pain. If you have pain, come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. I want to be your doctor. I want to get to the cause of your back pain, not just treat the symptom. And chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. Why wouldn't you do the most effective, least expensive treatment for anything? So if you want to make an appointment, and you should, drjoe.com. We can see you this week. We can set it up whatever is convenient for you. 4 offices. We accept most insurances. It really depends what your insurance covers. It's not us, it's them. It's not you, it's me. No, it is you when it comes to insurance. I'm not a fan of insurances, by the way. But you can make an appointment. We take Medicare. The VA, if the VA doctor refers you to us, we are on the preferred VA referral list. We're happy to, they'll even pay for it if they refer you to us. And the smart doctors just sign a piece of paper saying, here, go see Joe, and we're fine. So drjoe.com, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatica, muscle weakness, headaches. Come see us. Stop suffering needlessly. Biggest complaint I get, why didn't I do this sooner? Dr. Joe, I've suffered for 10, 20, 30 years. I spent $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. Nobody's been able to fix me. Come and see you guys, and you guys got me feeling better in a few visits. Why didn't anybody else tell me about this? And the answer is, I don't know. So drjoe.com, love to see you. If you're ever in a car accident, please, if the car is damaged, you're damaged, come see us immediately. Don't wait. The insurance companies have this little game they play saying, well, you didn't go to the doctor right away, so you weren't hurt. Well, my car was totaled. Doesn't matter. You didn't go to the doctor. We're not going to pay you. The sooner you get to us after an accident, the better you're going to be. Now, even if it's been a few weeks, still come see us. Even a few months, come see us. I have some good attorneys that I work with that might be able to get around those things with the insurance company. So drjoe.com. Normally, the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299 for you guys. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on a follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. We talked about the ED program that we have for men. Very inexpensive when we get to the cause of the problem in most cases. No drugs, no surgery, no needles. Acoustic wave therapy. It sends impulses into the joint, breaks up scar tissue, increases circulation. We've had countless people being told they need a joint replacement, and now they don't. It's certainly worth a shot, 'cause if it doesn't work, you could always have surgery. But once you're cut, you're cut. And the anesthesia alone is an issue. So drjoe.com, just book an appointment to come see us. Bring in your health issues. Let's see what we can do to do it. So we're talking today about signs and symptoms you don't want to ignore. Chronic fatigue. If you're exhausted all the time, that's a problem. Now, between work, family, responsibilities, many people feel tired. That persistent tiredness where you never feel like you have energy at all could be a sign of a thyroid problem. Low vitamins, again, minimum supplements would be Super Greens, an essential source. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, increases circulation to your heart, your lungs, your sex organs. I love my nitric oxide. Now, don't take nitric oxide if you have low blood pressure, only if you have high or normal blood pressure. Could be an immune system issue. If you're tired all the time, come see us. Let's see what we can do. We can do a test called a Dutch test. It's a urine test. And we can determine your hormone levels. We can determine adrenal function. Do you have high cortisol, low cortisol? So many things come out of this urine test. And it's a very simple test. You do it, you do pee collection throughout the day. We'll go over it with you. And we can tell you, hey, listen, you really are deficient in this. Or, the testosterone is converting into estrogen too much. Let's get you on a natural aromatase like Brussels sprouts or broccoli or supplements of that to help prevent testosterone from converting into estrogen. Who would have ever thought that could be an issue? My testosterone is low. No, your estrogen is high. That's the problem. Oh, okay. I'm not a fan of hormone therapy, by the way, unless you absolutely need it. But if you take hormones from an outside source, your body says, I got plenty of hormones. I don't have to make any more. And so that's not a good thing. That really concerns me when people get on these hormones willy-nilly. Testosterone replacement therapy. I tried it one time. Want to see what it felt like. It felt great. I did it half doses over twice the amount of time I should. My testosterone levels were off the chart. The doctor who did my test said, stop immediately. You're in danger zone. Then I crashed because my body wasn't making as much testosterone as it should because it said I have too much. Stop making it. Over time, I took the right supplements, did the right therapies, and my testosterone normalized again. So just be careful. It's a quick fix, but it's dangerous. Cocaine isn't real energy. Testosterone isn't real male's hormones, okay, because there's side effects to it. You can say, well, I do cocaine. I have lots of energy. Well, that's not good for you, is it? I'm not a fan of hormone therapy, unless you need it, of course. So chronic fatigue can be a lot of different things. We'd have to do an analysis with you to try to find out what it is. But Super Green, essential source of nitric oxide, B vitamins, those are all things that help give you energy. So that's something to consider as well. If you fall asleep all day, that can be a sign of narcolepsy, but be careful with that. If you allow sleep apnea or narcolepsy to go untreated, you can be setting yourself up for real health issues and even accidents in the future. I remember when even in high school, I was working 5 jobs. My father, I come from a very, very poor family. My father was disabled. I had a traumatic brain injury. My mother had no training. At that time, women didn't train, go to school or anything. So we were really, really, really poor. And I was working 5 jobs in a week. That's not a joke. I got 5 paychecks in a week and going to school. And I remember driving one time and I felt my head start to bob. And I thought, this is not good. What good is working all this time if I'm going to die? And I remember I had a van. I was a hippie with a van. And I pulled over the side of the road and I took a nap in the back of my van. So, yeah, sleep apnea, falling asleep really can be an issue. I'm out of time again. I got so much more to cover. Folks, if you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Supplements, in my opinion, are not a luxury. They're a necessity. If you want to obtain and maintain good health, supplements are the key. If you want to obtain and maintain good health, keeping a healthy spine and nervous system and digestive system are also important. Make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media. I post every single day. It's Dr. Joe Esposito. Search me. I'm there. And your podcast, it's Dr. Joe for the health of it. We post every single day. You will not regret following us on social media. You're going to learn so much information. But the best thing to do, go to drjoe.com, make an appointment. I want to be your doctor. I want to help get you well, and I want to help keep you well. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. All right. What you got?
Can you please settle the debate between the carnivore and vegan diets?
Sure. Vegan. Anything else? No, I've studied carnivore. I've studied vegan. Carnivore makes absolutely no sense to me. Short term, yeah, you cut out the carbs. Your body burns fat. First it burns glucose and then glycogen, then fat. It burns fat. It's a great thing. Too much protein is extremely dangerous. Not enough carbs is extremely dangerous. A lot of researchers, Dr. Joel Mercola, who has the #1 health website in the world, brilliant man, medical doctor, osteopath, all over that high-protein meat eater diet. And I said, listen, Joe, I'm thinking you're brilliant, man. I love your work, but I don't agree with you on this. Now, that's the thing. You don't have to agree with everybody to like them, And about 2 or 3 years later, he came out. He says, I have a big announcement to make. He says, I was wrong. He says the initial studies on the high protein, the carnivore diets came out and they said, yes, they're good for you and they help reduce blood sugar. And yes, they did. Long-term studies, heart problems, brain problems, kidney problems, energy issues, erectile problems, sexual dysfunction. And so he said I was wrong. So I felt vindicated. I was like, yeah, I was right. Ha, 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 ha. But you should get about 50% of your calories from complex carbohydrates. That would be beans. That would be quinoa. That would be fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. 50% of your calories should come from complex carbohydrates. That doesn't mean breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, and cookies. No. Complex carbohydrates. So eating a whole food diet, unprocessed diet, that's really the ultimate diet. So if you want to do the carnivore diet, you'll eventually come begging to me, Dr. Joe, I really screwed myself up. What do I do? So there's your answer. If there was a better way to do it, I would be doing it, believe me. What else you got?
Every so often I wake up at night and I can't breathe at all. My airway is closed. What is this and what can be done?
It could be the stomach up against the diaphragm. Could be the acid reflux. It could be having an allergic reaction. If you're doing wheat or dairy products, that can cause a lot of mucus to form, and that can clog up the throat as well. So I would say cut out the wheat and the dairy. If you have heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, come see us. Let's test the stomach. It takes about 13 seconds to test. And if it's there, we need to pull it back down. Because, again, if you're waking up not breathing, you're not getting a good night's sleep, and that's going to affect a lot of other issues. What else?
What are some natural remedies for PVCs?
Preventricular contractions. I'm making sure we got the right PVC. There's a lot of different initials. Many times the stomach is up against the diaphragm, again, and it's affecting the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve also controls the heart. Now, it's not a bad idea to go to a cardiologist and get that checked to make sure it's not something more serious. But if you have heartburn and acid reflux and you're having the PVCs and a rapid heart rate and irregular heart rate, many times we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, fix the digestive system, take the stress off the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system, and the PVCs get better. And the reason I speak with authority on this is I had that. When I was a child, one of the earliest memories I have laying in my bed as a child, I was probably, I don't know, I was less than 9 years old, so maybe 5 years old, was it getting PVCs, and then my heart would beat really fast and then stop and then start again. And I remember thinking, well, I guess that's how your heart beats. I'm not dead, so I guess I'm okay. And again, I'm a kid. I don't know what I'm thinking. Later on in life, much later on in life, in my 30s, I finally realized the connection after my research. And when I got my stomach adjusted, all my PVCs went away, my irregular heartbeat went away. And to this day, if I start burping a lot, if I get bad breath, if I feel bloated, it's usually my stomach up against my diaphragm. Pull it down, and I'm good. So come see us for that one. But get it checked by your medical doctor, too. What else?
I was told that beans, tomatoes, and white potatoes are bad due to lectins. What are your thoughts?
I think lectins are a bunch of crud. Can't say the word I want to say. Lectins can irritate the bowels at a certain point, but there are so many healthy foods that contain lectins. This whole anti-lectin thing is just a bunch of bunk. I strongly disagree with it, and I believe that advice is dangerous. Now, some people do have a reaction to nightshades due to lectins. So what you can do is don't eat tomatoes, peppers, or eggplant nightshades for a couple of days, 3 or 4 days. Eat them and see how you feel. I have tomatoes. I grow tomatoes every year in honor of my father. And I eat tomatoes like crazy. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. Lentils are some of the very high protein, low carb foods loaded with amino acids. So, yeah, I don't buy that. Now, white potatoes aren't healthy for other reasons, but I don't think it's the lectins, no. So, I'm disagreeing. If you're still concerned, if you're still on the fence, take Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes whenever you eat lectins, and you'll be fine. So, what else?
A couple of comments have come in.
Ooh, comments. Hope they're good.
I listened to you about the stomach being pushed up against the diaphragm. I had my chiropractor do the procedure, and I felt so much better. And I've noticed that my esophageal dysmotility is better also.
Ta-da! Thank you. I'm glad. I'll take that as you're welcome is what I'm going to say. I'm assuming you're saying thank you. It's stupid easy to fix, and it aggravates the heck out of me. I've had patients come to me, and they go to their gastroenterologist. That doesn't work. That can't be done. You can't move the stomach. Then we move their stomach. They go back to the gastroenterologist. The acid reflux is gone. The heartburn is gone. The hiatal hernia is not visible anymore. Well, I don't know what you did. I've never seen this before. Just because you've never seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's why a good doctor is going to be an open mind and say, let's look at this. Let's see if it works. So, you're welcome. What else?
Dr. Joe's Essential Source has made me 20 plus years younger. I now ride a bike 2 to 12 miles every day.
That stuff right there, folks. Why wouldn't you take this? It's so inexpensive. It's over 72 different ingredients. This is the godfather of all supplements. So tell all your friends. Thank you for that. Call my show on Sunday nights. I'm on 8 to 10 on WSB Radio. If you follow me on social media, obviously you do. You'll get a little pop-up that I'm going on the air. Call in and say that for me. I would appreciate that. Same thing with the other person. I would love for you to do that because I can say it 1,000 times. When you say it, it's so much more powerful. And that's a big audience there. So, what else you got?
That is all.
You guys are awesome. Please follow me on all platforms. That's my only request. It's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Dr. Joe Esposito. Search me. And follow me. That's all I ask you to do. Even if you never look at anything I post, that's the cover charge for these workshops. So I hope to see you all in the office. But if you have any questions, drjoe.com. Send them to me. Talk to you soon.